Febuary 5 readings. Barnabas. The Epistle of Barnabas, chapter 11. Baptism and the cross prefigured in the Old Testament. Let us further inquire whether the Lord took any care to foreshadow the water of baptism and the cross. Concerning the water, indeed, it is written, in reference to the Israelites, that they should not receive that baptism which leads to the remission of sins but should procure another for themselves. The prophet therefore declares, "Be astonished, O heaven, and let the earth tremble at this, because this people hath committed two great evils, they have forsaken me, a living fountain, and have hewn out for themselves broken cisterns. Is my holy hill Zion a desolate rock? For ye shall be as the fledglings of a bird, which fly away when the nest is removed." And again, the prophet says, "I will go before thee and make level the mountains, and will break the brazen gates, and bruise in pieces the iron bars, and I will give thee the secret, hidden, invisible treasures, that they may know that I am the Lord God. And he shall dwell in a lofty cave of the strong rock." Furthermore, what does he say in reference to the Son? "His water is sure, ye shall see the King in his glory, and your soul shall meditate on the fear of the Lord." And again, another prophet declares, "The man who doeth these things shall be like a tree planted by the courses of waters, which shall yield its fruit in due season, and his leaf shall not fade, and all that he doeth shall prosper. Not so are the ungodly, not so, but even as chaff, which the wind sweeps away from the face of the earth. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the counsel of the just, for the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish." Mark how he has described both the water and the cross. For these words imply, "Blessed are they who, placing their trust in the cross, have gone down into the water, for they shall receive their reward in due time." Then he declares, "Their leaves shall not fade." This means that every word which proceeds out of your mouth in faith and love shall bring conversion and hope to many. Another prophet says, "And the land of Jacob shall be extolled above every land." This means the vessel of his Spirit, which he shall glorify. Further, what does he say? "And there was a river flowing on the right, and from it arose beautiful trees, and whosoever shall eat of them shall live forever." This means that we indeed descend into the water full of sins and defilement but come up bearing fruit in our heart, having the fear of God and trust in Jesus in our spirit. "And whosoever shall eat of these shall live forever." This means, whosoever, he declares, shall hear thee speaking and believe shall live forever. Augustine. Confessions, Book 2, chapters 9-10. "It was a pleasure to laugh while deceiving others. By what feelings, then, was I animated? It was, in truth, too shameful, woe to me for having such desires. Yet what was it? Who can understand his errors? We laughed because our hearts were entertained by the thought of deceiving those who had no idea what we were doing, those who would have strongly disapproved had they known. Yet why did I find such joy in the fact that I did not act alone? Is it because laughter is rarely enjoyed alone? It is true that laughter is shared more easily with others, but sometimes a man alone will laugh when something humorous appears to his senses or mind. Still, I would not have done this act alone, nor could I have. Behold, my God, the depths of my soul are exposed before you. I did not steal for the stolen object itself, but rather for the act of stealing. Nor would I have enjoyed doing it alone, nor would I have done it at all. O friendship, too unfriendly! You, who seduce the soul into wickedness, stir up mischief not for gain, not for revenge, but merely for the joy of wrongdoing. When someone says, 'Let us go, let us do it,' we are ashamed not to be shameless. With God, there is true rest, and unchanging life. Who can untangle this twisted, knotted sin? It is vile, I hate to recall it, I hate to look upon it. Yet, you, O righteousness and innocence, are beautiful in the eyes of the virtuous, and your satisfaction never fades. In you is perfect rest and life unchanging. He who enters into you enters into the joy of his Lord and will not fear, he will act rightly and the most excellent. I, however, wandered far from you, O my God. I strayed from you in my youth, the one who upholds me, and in doing so, I became to myself a barren and unfruitful land. Thomas Aquinas. Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 15, Article 3. Whether ideas are many? Objection. It seems that ideas should not be many, since God's knowledge is perfectly simple and undivided. If multiplicity existed in his intellect, it would imply composition, which is contrary to divine simplicity. I answer that there are indeed many ideas in God. An idea is nothing other than the form of something existing in the intellect. Since God is the first cause of all things, he must have within himself the exemplar by which all things are created. These exemplars, existing in his intellect from all eternity, are what we call divine ideas. Since God's knowledge extends to all things that exist or can exist, he must have within himself the distinct intelligible forms of these things. These forms are not separate or distinct entities but are unified within God's singular and perfect act of knowing. Thus, while there is no division in God's knowledge, there is a multiplicity of ideas corresponding to the diversity of things he creates. Therefore, ideas in God are many, not as separate entities, but as distinct manifestations of his one, simple, and perfect knowledge. New Translation Approach Statement. This translation/transcription from the more archaic English keeps the theological depth and meaning of the original while making it clear and readable. I try to avoid any unnecessary modernization while smoothing difficult wording when needed. The goal is to preserve the theological and technical richness of the text while making it easier to understand.